So yesterday I was able to sell 2 puts, and I sold those puts on IBM and another one on SPY. I made pretty good premium, and it looks like I'm going to get put those shares. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today I want to talk about a put that I opened yesterday for IBM and SPY. I'm going to show you why I selected them, how I selected my strike, and we'll talk about the chances that looks like I will be assigned those shares. So if you enjoy this type of content, please make sure to hit that like button as it does help this channel out. So first of all, we're going to start with IBM. So the first thing I always look at when I'm looking at a new stock, not that IBM is a new stock for me, I've traded IBM for a while, but the first thing I always like to look at is that 1-year chart. And we're looking at that 1-year chart, and I do have the moving averages turned on, okay? So that red line is that 200-day moving average. And as you can see, those candles are staying above that MA200. So that is the first thing that I look for, as I am looking for some consistency throughout the time. And I want to make sure that if I do get put those shares, that over time, the stock itself will move on up and I won't have to worry about this thing crashing down. Now, of course, nothing is guaranteed, but that is the idea and the method that I'm using. So the first thing, like I said, I look for is that 1-year chart, and you can see those candles are staying above that MA200 on the 1-year chart. And then we look at that 5-year chart, and again, those candles staying above that 200 MA, which is that red line, once again, staying above that. So for this one, I see this as a good long term. And if I were get put the shares, and if I did get it wrong, and I ended up buying them at a high point, I don't have to worry too much about it, because over time, I can see this thing continually to move up, because that's what the history is showing me. The history shows that over time, it does move up and to the right. So when I see that both of those charts are up and to the right, which is that 1-year and 5-year, then I can move to a more closer to time period interval and see what it looks like. So I'm looking at that 1 year and looking at that day interval. So let's just zoom right in on that one. Here we go. Now I still have the moving averages turned on, so I'm going to turn those off and I want to turn on the Bollinger Band. This here is telling me now, when I see this candle here, it is at the bottom of that Bollinger Band, right? So that to me is a good time to buy the shares, or in my case, I decided to go ahead and sell a put on IBM at around that price. So as it was coming down, that's what I did, right? But like I said, I'm looking and those candles are coming down to the bottom of that Bollinger Band, and that RSI 2 here, which is this yellow line, it is down below that 10 on the RSI. All that means is we're having a short-term pullback. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to pop back up. This thing can continually to move on down. It could, right? But again, anytime I get worried, I just go right back to that 1-year chart and I see that it's moving up and to the right. And that's all I have to go on, right? Is just the history of the stock chart itself. So now that we see that that candle is on the bottom half of that Bollinger Band and that RSI 2 is down below 10, I can look to either buy shares of that stock in hopes that I can catch a little bit of a pullback, and then hopefully this thing can turn right around and start moving back up. And that's what I was doing with my swing trades. And I did buy a couple more shares of IBM just because of this, but then I also decided, why not go ahead and sell a put? Let's earn a little premium while I'm doing basically the same thing, right? I went ahead and sold that put at $297.50. Okay, and as you can see, it closed at $296.21. It looks like I could get put those shares. Now, This one does not expire until Friday. So I still have a little bit of time, as that X date is January the 2nd. Okay, so we have a little bit of time here, but if it stays below this 297.50, I could get put those shares. But if this thing pops back up above that 297.50, then I will not get assigned those shares. So that's basically where I'm at on this one. I went ahead and I did sell that. And there's the order you can see popped up on the screen, the January the 2nd of 2026 at a 297.50 put strike. And what did I get for that? Well, you can see right here's my order. I made $110 because that's $1.10 times 100 shares. So that's $110 for that option play there. Now, like I said, that one has an X date of January the 2nd. Okay, so this one has not closed yet, and I'm not assigned yet so far. Now, granted, any time that price is below your strike, you could get assigned early, which would mean that you get put the shares before that expiration date. But this one here is not too far down, so I'm not too worried about getting assigned early. And plus, I have until Friday for this to either stay down below it to get assigned, or for it to pop up above it and then not get assigned. So for this one, honestly, I would love for it to stay right around where it's at, around that 296, which is just below the bottom of that Bollinger Band. I would love to get assigned those shares at this price and then look for this thing to pop up and sell a call around that midpoint or higher, right? Because that midpoint being 305, that would be a very nice little price appreciation for that play, not even counting the premium, right? Because I've already earned $110 on it. And if I get assigned, then next week I can look to sell a call against it. And as long as I sell it above what I paid for it, then that is price appreciation if it is called away. So this one is still open, and we'll see what this one does come tomorrow. Now, I'm quite excited with this one, as I am with the other option play that I did make, and that was on SPY. And here we are on SPY. I'm going to go ahead and turn back on my moving average, and I'm going to turn off the Bollinger Band just to clean it up a little bit. And we're looking at that 1-year chart, and you can see there it is. Those candles staying above that MA 200. We did drop down below it, but that was during an event, because that was around that March-April timeframe of 2025, and we all know what happened there. So I'm willing to overlook this here. But outside of that, it's staying above that MA 200. And then we go over to that 5-year chart, and look at that. Beautiful. Staying right above that MA 200, no problem at all. So again, like I said, the reason I'm looking at this is because I want to know that it has a bit of consistency to it, that it's going to move up and to the right, because you never know really what it's going to do the next day. Because if you look even right here, and I can zoom in a little bit right here, if you would have bought those shares at this point right here, and then this thing fell all the way down, right? And those shares you would have bought, say at $600, and it dropped all the way down to $480. Well, that is not a very good day, right? And that's over probably a few weeks, because we are looking at that 5-year chart, which is looking at weekly. And to kind of zoom in maybe a little closer, let's look at that 1-year chart. So we're looking at day intervals. And same example, you're buying here at this $600 and it drops all the way down here to $477. Well, you're not too happy, right? But just like anything else, you don't know what the future holds. You don't know what's going to come the next day. So therefore, you want to make sure that the stock that you're in, number one, you like the stock and you want to hold shares of the stock. And number two, that stock overall, history-wise, moves up. Even if there is a pullback or a big event like happened this year around March and April, that it can recover and it will recover, right? Now, not guaranteed, of course, but all I have to go on is the history of that stock. So as you can see, you're buying around that 600. You might be holding this thing for a while, right? But eventually it did recover and you would be making your money back. Now, not saying you had to wait that entire time, right? Because you could still be selling calls. If you bought those 100 shares way up here, even though it's coming down, you could still sell a call and try to sell one above the price that you purchased. But eventually, as it does come down, it does make it more difficult. Now, once you get down in this area where you're a good ways away from the point that you did buy them at, the chances of you being able to sell a call will be pretty slim, right? Unless you're willing to go out quite a while, right? And you may be going out months at a time. And maybe that's what you want to do because overall you can earn that premium and still, if it did pop back up, you would make that price appreciation if it were called away. And that's a decision that you have to make whenever you're doing these options. And one thing that kind of gives you a little bit of an ease and it allows you to sleep at night is to know that this stock or ETF, in this case, ETF with SPY, wants to eventually recover and move on up. So that is what helps me sleep at night is if I do buy and I am wrong about that moving up in a short term and instead it starts moving down and down and down and eventually it should move back up just because that is what history shows us. And that's all I've got to go off of, right? I've got history and history alone to look at. But we all know it's only true until it's not, right? But for me, honestly, SPY is about as safe as you can get, in my opinion. And that's my opinion only, and that is not financial advice. But you do pay a little bit more for those option plays, but it may be worth it at times just to get a little bit closer to a sure thing. As I see SPY being about of a sure thing as you can get. But again, that is not financial advice. That is only my opinion. So I'm going to start tracking SPY with my options that I've been doing. And I just want to see for my quote day trades with SPY if I'm being profitable or not. And what percentage am I actually making per month? And I've kind of started one, but I've got a little bit more work to do on it. But I hope to have something here pretty shortly to at least help track those option plays on SPY, because I know a lot of people are probably wondering, am I really making anything off of it or not? And since you're in and out of it so much, it does make it a little difficult to know if it's really worth it or not. So I just wanted to do a quick one for SPY and IBM that I did do options on just yesterday. And like I said, here are my receipts here. As you can see, the IBM, like we talked about earlier, that was $1.10 that I made. And the SPY, that one expired on the 31st. So since it did close under that 684, which was my strike, I should get put those shares because it did close at 681.92 and my strike was 684. So I should get put those shares and I should have 100 shares in my account come Friday morning. And of course, for opening that option, I did earn 80 cents per share. So that's $80 right there. But come Friday, I'll be looking to see if SPY can get above that 684 and I can sell a call, make a little premium and a little price appreciation. But if not, then I will just hold for a little bit and see if it can turn around. And then eventually it will give me a chance to sell that call, make some premium and earn some price appreciation. And I say that only because over time, SPY tends to want to move up and to the right. So the IBM put is still open and it doesn't expire until Friday. But the SPY put that I did sell and earned that $81, that is closed out. And since it's at 684 and it closed at 681, I should have 100 shares in my account come Friday morning. and I'll be looking to sell that call. And I'll let all my Discord members know what I'm doing. So if you're interested in knowing what I'm doing a little bit closer to the times that I'm actually making those trades, come on over, join the Discord. The link will be in the pinned comments and then the description below, where you can not only get my trade alerts that I make, you will also be able to get a copy of my stock tracker sheet here, Rev 4. So come on over, join the Discord. We'd love to have you. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button and smash the like button. It would be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, Legend out.